Let's see how we can make some non-cookie cutter Easter crafts. Here are a number of cookie cutter copycat crafts. We have bunnies and eggs that are the theme here. And we're going to move away from cookie cutter crafts to see how we can make some developmentally appropriate, age-appropriate Easter crafts.
These are hard-boiled eggs. I have a bleeding tissue paper cut up. Now, very important, if you want to dye anything with tissue paper, it must be bleeding tissue paper, which means when you put water on it, it comes off. So, I have water here. I have a paper plate to put the used pieces of tissue paper. And I would start like this. Put a piece of tissue paper on. I would just paint it on like that. Then remove it here. You might want to wait till it dries afterwards, or it depends on the ages and how much patience they're going to have. And then you also could take them off at the end. You can do doubles. Here, let's take this off. You can do colors on top of colors. You can do more than one at a time. And once you're finished with that, if you want to dry them, I strongly suggest you have a egg carton right nearby to put them in for them to dry. For a different effect, you can put all the tissue paper on and leave it in the egg carton to dry and remove the pieces of tissue paper when you're done. So for the painted eggs, what we're going to use is, we're going to use painter's tape, but this is very, very thin painter's tape because the egg is a very small surface. If it would be a large paper or something else large, we'd be able to use the thicker. If that's all you have, you can try thicker, but I'm just doing the very thin painter's tape because it'll give me more room to paint, okay? Now I have my brush with my water, and I'm going to try painting in. You could do the whole thing all over the same color, but we're just going to do different colors. Doesn't matter if it goes over because we want the effect when we remove the tape. Now, if you want to wait between colors, you don't want to mix it. You can also do this with watercolors. You can do this also with the tissue paper that I used, but this is just another way to do it. It might be a good idea to wait so your fingers don't get all full, but I'm just going to paint this, and then I'm going to put it to dry, and when it is dry, we will pull off the painter's tape.
So the dyed eggs are dry, and I'm removing the tape from the eggs. And now what we're going to do is we're going to make mosaics out of these eggshells. We're going to make pictures with mosaics. Now you can do any number of techniques on top of the eggs. The brighter the better, and then you will move them and you will have all of these colored and painted eggshells to use for mosaics. So one of the ways you can do it is you can just take regular glue, and you need to use regular glue because it needs to stick better. Don't use a glue stick. And you just put it down, and then put down the mosaic. Here I just made a shape and used my finger to fill in the shape. You can do that. And if you want to do, if they're a little bit more advanced, they can do something like a letter, put glue in there and fill that up as well. Of course, that's going to be determined by how old the children are. Now here we're going to use paper eggs, painted and decorated painted eggs, and we're going to do a few different techniques on each of these. The first one is a resist. I used a white oil pastel, and I'm using liquid watercolors to paint on top. And as you see, it resists it. If you use a pan watercolors, that works as well also. The second one we're going to do is we're going to use, as we did with the eggs, we're going to use the tape resist. Probably wasn't such a great idea that I did it right on my background, but you tape it like that, and I decided to use the pan watercolors this time because I didn't want to get the liquid watercolors all over the place. But if you do it on top of another surface, it probably is brighter to use the liquid watercolors. And then you put that one away to dry. And then the third one, we're going to do a collage with tissue paper. And I'm painting a watered down glue. It works a little bit better if you water it down. I'm covering the whole thing and then using my tissue paper to cover it. And once it's covered as much as I want, if you paint on top of it, it adds a nice sheen, and it keeps it better. It keeps it from coming up, and it just gives a nice glossy sheen. And the last one I did here was tape. I have a large number of washi tapes and craft tapes, just decorating them. And now these are only 4 examples that I've given. You can use many. And then the point is that we take a nice big background and we place them on, and there's a beautiful decorative piece of all these painted eggs. You can do them with smaller ones. You can do them with, larger ones, however you want. But there's the 4 painted eggs. Next, we're going to do bunny rabbits. So this is my reference sheet that I show the children, collage bunny rabbits. Those are the materials I would give them. I cut up different materials, and here are 2 4-year-olds, 4.5-year-olds actually, that are using the material. The one on the right, a young lady on the right, these are 2 grandchildren of mine. The one on the right, she's busy with the glue. She's not really paying any attention to the pictures. The one on the left, my grandson, he is actually trying to make a bunny rabbit, and he picks up what I had thought to be the inside of ears. He's cutting them up. She's just using the markers, and she's just concentrating on making eyes and hearts and noses and mouths on her rabbit. But he's really working on it and trying to fit in the size, because he's using the cotton ball as the head, and he was trying to figure out what size the body should be. So he drew it and then cut it, then wasn't so happy with it, so cut it smaller, as you see here. But there's his legs sticking up, somewhat of a 3D rabbit. But that is his bunny rabbit. That is her bunny rabbit. And that's his finished bunny rabbit. And that is her finished bunny rabbit. And if you would like to learn more about moving from cookie cutter crafts to creative art, meet me at eduartforkids.com.